How's it going? Welcome back. It's Jonathan. Okay, so in this video, no real agenda. Just wanted to give you a quick update because I haven't been on YouTube for a little while. And the reason for that is because I'm working on some material from Louise McWhirter, just trying to figure out some of her concepts and strategies for forecasting. But with that said, look, this is the Dow Jones. We're going to be taking a look at the Dow Jones, the XJO, and the Bitcoin market. I think the Dow Jones is probably one of the best forecasts that we've had probably over the last 2 years. And for those of you who bought the forecasting service last year, you'll know that there was a slight change in the way that the market actually moved to the actual original forecast that was produced at the end of 2022. However, as the year progressed, we were able to nail pretty much many of the moves, and we've now broken the highs that were set in basically, if we zoom in here, January 2022. So what does that mean for next year? Is the market bullish next year? Actually, you might be surprised. I won't go into it here because the guys have already paid for access in the 2024 forecasting service. Though we're not particularly bullish at the start of next year. So we're going to let this market ride out. It's now broken the tops. We were calling for a top in the end of July, start of August. That top came in. We were looking for a bottom around the end of September, and that bottom came in around 2 to 3 weeks later in October. And then after that, we were suggesting a bullish run, which would take out the highs in August and possibly, but we weren't too sure if that actually reached the highs of January of that year. So here we are. It's done it, and just boom, it's done it big time. So it's now broken out. Now we currently have about 15 days of the year left, so we will have to wait and see how this plays out. The one thing I want to say is that there is a slight word of caution here. Now, I could just say that this market's going to run higher, it's going to hit, $40,000 by the end of the year. That's the forecast, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, that's not the case. You could just do some simple technical analysis. So let's find our price analysis tool here. We're going to be looking at price extension. We could run it from this low to this top to this low. We're going to be moving out here. We're going to do a few of these, right? Just simple technical analysis. You don't need to be a whiz at these. And then the one that we're looking for, the major one we're looking for, are these 100% price extension levels. So we're going to see where they cluster up, okay? So let's see if we can get anything else. I think that's probably most of the ones that have a major move. So what do we have here? Well, we have a first price resistance using this strategy here. I'm going to now get a rectangle. I can never find my tools in the software. A rectangle. And we're going to mark this one here just as an immediate resistance level, slightly above the old highs. And then we have two clusterings coming up here, which are just based on two ABC sequences from the past. So that is that. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't really see anything else, but we have a time sequence here of ABC. We've got a time sequence here of ABC, and we've got a time sequence here ABC with our 100% levels. We're not too concerned with the lower levels for now because we're more concerned about long-term forecasting. So I'm going to turn these off. I'm not going to leave these on the chart, so you go ahead and write these down. But right now, these are the levels that we're watching, okay? Around 37,500 and then 39 to 40,000 as major resistance. When will the market get there? Well, we need to look at the mass pressure charts for next year. The mass pressure charts are basically Gann's way of forecasting market cycles and giving us a market direction. So with that said, these are the two levels that we'd immediately be watching for a level of resistance. And that just goes into our possible analysis that next year might not be bullish, it might not continue this run higher, possibly until mid-year. But we'll have to see how that plays out. The next market is the XJO. The XJO, if you actually look at it, has done nothing since 2020. So people investing in the Aussie market have made no money since 2020. It's basically a laggard market at the moment. The thing with the XJO is that it generally performs the best at the second half of the 18-year cycle. If we zoom this out, we can see like a steady rise here in the first half of that 18-year cycle. Just going to go, this is the first half of the 18-year cycle. And then we have this boom phase, which is the second half of that 18-year cycle before the mighty crash. If we just repeat that here, oh, wrong tool. We have this basically lagging phase where it takes, 10 years to reach its old highs. And then once we get out of this sideways movement that the market is trapped in right now, we should get an explosive run higher. However, the only problem that we have now is that we're running out of time, and time is the most important factor of all. So as we lead into 2026, if I can get some more blank bars on here. As we lead into 2026, we become more and more cautious as this market basically starts to move into its topping period. So I won't go into the timings of that right now. However, I've given you that timing several times if you've been around for a while. Just another topic, so I want to just keep this short and simple. But once we get out of this lagging period, the XJO should rocket higher, but there's no guarantee on that right now. As with Bitcoin, we can move over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has moved up. There's just two things I want to point out, okay, on Bitcoin. First of all, the easiest thing to do is be a bull. That's the easiest thing to do. And just say that the 4-year cycle has repeated and that we're moving up from here. The only reason why I don't want to be a bull is because of what's potentially going to occur next year. And that's just the cycles that are playing out next year could be bullish. I might have it completely wrong. However, there is downward bias next year. And that's why I'm not saying that, Bitcoin's the best market to be in right now. I think there are other markets, and I pointed those other markets out. You could possibly even make good money in gold. Once the bear cycle for gold ends next year, once it's completely over and done with, I don't see why gold can't be moving up to $3,500 in the next couple of years. I don't see why not. But for Bitcoin, let's just go over some of the recent moves. So this is not bragging. I'm just using this as basically a catalog right now just to store my thoughts. Bitcoin was making a series of tops on our turn dates. And then I said the tops are bad, bottoms are good sequence, which is a bullish momentum if you are long. And that just means that if a lot of our turn dates are occurring on bottoms, let's just say that we had just suggested a couple of turn dates and they were occurring on bottoms, then that would be good for the move. That would be saying that the market's moving down and then bouncing off these dates. However, what was happening at the time was that Bitcoin was going into these turn dates and then reversing lower. And that generally suggests that people are selling those dates, not intentionally. People don't know these dates, okay? These dates, they're astro-based dates, okay? Not a lot of people know this theory. But these dates control human psychology to some degree or another. And people were selling on these dates. And when they sell them and they don't buy them, that generally means that people are trying to get out. Okay, people are collectively getting out and they're selling into these dates. So as we moved into the 5th, so the market was rising up, we moved into the 5th on the Tuesday. I had written that if Bitcoin makes another top around the 5th and the 11th, I'd be beginning to look down with a lower high. So with a higher low than the last 90-day cycle. And in this case, we had a top on the 5th, and I wrote this, several days before. A top on the 5th. In my back-end group, just want to keep you fully up to date, and I have to blow some of this out though. We also listed the 8th as a date to watch. So on top of that, we had the 8th. I'll blur the other dates out. We had the 8th, and the 8th was also a top. So we're getting top. All these tops were occurring around our dates. You don't need to know Fibonacci levels. You don't need to know price analysis. You basically want to know when people are selling. And if they're collectively selling on these dates and they're not buying on these dates, and the market is moving into them and then reversing, moving into them and then reversing, that is a bearish momentum. And yes, the market can run up. However, each time it runs up, if you were to buy low, sell high, and the people keep selling into these dates, well, basically you'd be buying low, selling into those dates, buying low, selling into those dates, buying low, selling into those dates. It's not easy to do. yourself. I know that human emotion gets in the way. That's the kind of logic that you'd apply, okay? So after that, let's go back here. We then had the 11th as the next date. Now, I did suggest originally that a top would be made on the 11th of December, just based on pure price action at the time. However, what you'll notice here is that then I said that a low is likely to occur around the 11th after we got confirmation and the market moved lower. So the market moved lower into the 11th then. The 11th wasn't a top, it was now a bottom. And then from there, this bottom has not been broken. The 11th has staged the local bottom and the Bitcoin market has moved up. Again, like I said, it's easier to be a bull this year. You know, Bitcoin could be heading now towards $47,000, $50,000. The only problem I have is that I just can't buy it anymore. The time to be buying was definitely back here. But up here at the moment, because of my bias next year, I just can't be buying this right now. You might have a different opinion. You might think that Bitcoin is going to $120,000, $130,000, and you might be buying this whole rally, and you could turn out to be absolutely correct. But just me personally, it's just not something that I'm doing, okay? So we'll just keep watching our dates. Bitcoin will continue to move in and out of them, and we just need to gauge the market momentum as it does move in and out of them. So Bitcoin hit a low on the 11th. I mean, someone was selling from the 8th basically into this low point. And then the market has moved higher. So all we need to do now, especially for those who are in our back end, which you can get in the back end, it's very cheap. It's just $50 a month. And you get all the dates, you get all the angles, market updates as I do them. You just look at the next dates, okay? You put those next dates on your chart and you just see what Bitcoin does as it moves in and out of these dates, okay? Is it making highs or lows on these dates? If, and this is just an example way of how you use these dates, if Bitcoin moves higher and then sells this date and moves lower, sells the next date and moves lower, that's bearish, okay? Even if Bitcoin makes higher highs on these dates, that's still bearish because it's making tops around those dates. Just want to confirm what was happening back here. Again, if Bitcoin is moving higher, okay, and it makes a bottom on this date, then that is, it's going to be a really tight bottom here, but basically, if it does something like this, then that is generally going to be a bullish sequence. And those price levels are just basic examples, okay? This is how you use the dates, and this is how you look at using those dates if you're in the back end or if you see the dates that I upload here. These dates are important. They're astro-based dates, and they'll continue to play out on and on and on. However, the interpretation of these dates is really, really paramount to your success in the markets, okay? So currently it's now the 14th of December. What I will do is I will give you the next date that we're watching, and it is going to be around the 15th to 16th of the month, okay? So always give it 24 hours. I use two different systems when I get these dates. I use a weather-based system, which checks for temperatures and stuff like that to confirm the dates, and I'm able to give more accurate dates later on. However, to begin with, we use the angle of the sun, okay? And the sun gives us a specific angle each month, and we can use those dates we can use the sun's angle to pinpoint the dates that the market's likely to change trend. It's very, very solid data. It's very phenomenal when you just see it play out, and obviously I've been seeing it play out a lot longer than most of you have. However, you could go back and back test this, you know, from any price history. It's the controller of human emotion, okay? So I gave you the next 2 dates. We're watching between the 15th to the 16th to see what the market reaction is going to do. Market could fall into the 15th, 16th time frame. Looks like we have a weekend between Friday and Monday. So the Monday, if you're using the Dow Jones, for example, we could be basically getting a top. Let me go to the daily chart. Could be getting a top in 2 days. If we were to use the solar counts, for example, for Bitcoin, it's going to trade over that weekend. So we'll have to be looking between the 15th and the 16th to see if it makes a top around that date, if it's a major or minor top, and also if it makes a low, if it's a major or minor low. How do you know if it's a major or minor low? Very simple. These big moves tend to be major. These minor moves, if I could just use something like this, these minor moves where the market's just moving up tend to be minor. So this price action here would be considered like a major move. This one here would be considered a major move. So if the market's moving down very strongly compared to how it moved up, that would be a major change of trend. Just like you see basically with this 2-day price action right here, that's very major. Into a top, boom, people start selling. Market's moving up again, try to break it. People keep selling into the low. Anyway, I don't want to waffle on anymore. If you want to join us, there's 2 ways to join us. You can buy the yearly subscription. Yearly subscription is going to give you the annual forecast, which is a full in-depth report. It's going to cover the Dow Jones, Bitcoin, the gold market, and the Aussie market. It's going to give you also the world economic and political events that are likely to take place, along with weather events and things like that, social events. They're all forecast, they're all now live, ready for you to view. If you buy that one, which is $897 or something like that, you're also going to get a 12-month subscription to our back end, which is a monthly membership, which I'll give you then monthly forecasts. We're able to track the market on a monthly basis. If, however, you don't have the financial means to purchase the yearly forecast, you can join our monthly forecasting service. It's only $50 a month. It's quite cheap. 10 cups of coffee. So if you can forego 10 cups of coffee in a month, you can join that. You can be part of this. You can see the dates, you can see the price action, and there's a lot of new things that I want to add. I'm just trying to finalize some material and how I present it, and also make sure that my testing of this is up to scratch, because I'm going to be trying to do monthly forecasts based on planetary alignments, and that's something that I'm not proficient in this example. So you won't get that for a little while, but once I finish it, I'll also be including that into the monthly service, which won't go into the yearly one because it's a completely different concept, okay? So you buy the yearly one, you get the monthly for free if you buy before January 1st. And if you can't, or you don't have the means to buy the yearly one, don't worry. You can just join us on the monthly one and you'll get all that sort of information. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I'll talk to you when I can.